Hello, it's Miss Cadwell. Welcome to middle school science. If you're in sixth grade, you'll be learning about life science with me. And if you're in seventh grade, we'll be learning about physical science. And eighth grade, we'll be learning about earth and space science. Now, the structure at the beginning of my class, all students enrolled, they do sign for and receive a class syllabus. In this, it really just details exactly what we'll be going over for the school year with you and with your scholar. Here's a brief look this looks like. We have it here. It is given out to all students. Sorry, I'm showing names. But we do have the sign-in log. I have the dates. Students print. I normally put the document, and then students sign. I keep this as a record just to show which students have received documents and who has not. One of the best things about keeping trackers like these is that it's simply as put. I can keep up with which student has received a specific document, who has not, and then it also tells me when. So here's when they became available on the 4th. That is the original date. And then I have students that were enrolled later, so they do show later dates. That helps me out as well when it comes to making sure making sure students have properly received all of the information that they should. They have enough time. So if the first set of students had a week, of course, any students after that should have the same amount of time. But in the syllabus, it just goes over materials and supplies needed, the course, goals of the course. They're listed on all of them. I have my 6th and 7th grade syllabi as well. Strategies for success. I know it seems a little bit lengthy, but this is really for parents, for you to keep kind of hanging on the refrigerator or wherever is best for you to go back and check. I have information about my attendance and makeup policy, plagiarism and cheating, technology, how our assignments are weighted. And I made sure to put a special note that classwork accounts for 50% of the grade makeup. So it is very important that your student is here in class as much as possible in order to retain and grasp as much information as possible. In here, I just have a brief overview of the middle school science fair. I am in charge of the science fair for both elementary and middle school. The middle school science fair, though, is our largest, and this is the one that the parents generally come out to. In here, I also go over some of our late assignments and what extra credit is. I do make sure to put in bold that extra credit does not replace an assignment grade, nor will any extra credit opportunities be given to prevent a failing grade. I do understand that some of our students do live very different lives, have very different backgrounds, and have extenuating circumstances. But that is for myself, administration, and the parent or guardian to discuss, because there are things that I am not aware of, but administration is, and they pass that information down to me, or vice versa. Parents may tend to open up to me more, and then I relay the information to administration so they could be aware of the situation. Class structure, we just go over some behavior norms and things that are not norms. We talk about what we should and shouldn't do in both my lecture class and my lab because they are separate. Parent engagement, I do let parents know that I use Class Dojo to communicate, so please make sure you check for that. We have our curriculum scope, and this is just saying all of the information that we'll go over textually throughout the school year. So this is our 8th grade curriculum. Once again, it's Earth and Space Science. So we have a little bit of Earth, changes over time, energy and motion, which is normally the module that causes a lot of frustration among our 8th graders. It's a lot of calculations that go on. So this this unit takes us a little bit longer. But it helps us to understand the understanding of waves. So as long as my students have been very successful here, we can go ahead and get through this. And then I also have module 4, which is going back to more earth science and then some space. So this is my basic layout for all classes. So this one here, I know it says it at the top, but it is for 6th grade. And then I have my 7th grade on here. And then referring to our Science Fair 2025, students do receive this packet. It is a little lengthy. Yes, I understand that's long, but we start our Science Fair preparation in September and our Science Fair is in March. A lot of time to go over this and to understand. Within my classroom, I do like to keep a lot of routines and rhythms and structures, and it's simply because I'm the sixth grade homeroom teacher. I have been for the past few years, and I've noticed a lot of students that come from elementary to sixth grade, they have a lot of different structure. Some have none at all. Some students do not know how to study. I studied last night, but you just kind of looked at some things. So we go over how to study because a lot of students aren't aware. And with this, we have some of our study materials. So here I keep this on the board. I've laminated it, and it's really just a very, very basic structure of how to outline. So I have some information. I go over it with the students. They receive a reading packet at the beginning of every new module because we don't have textbooks. So how to outline notes is really brief. I need students to be able to read and pull out information. We have vocabulary terms, so this is our outline for our vocabulary terms, how we turn those in. That information is detailed here. I have some information about students and their understanding, so it goes from a 0 to a 4. And we do these in nonverbal, so this will be a 0, 1, 2, 3, or a 4. And it really just tells us if we understood a concept or content. Where are we? Are we 0 and I need help? Even if I get help, I'm still lost? Am I 1 or 2? When you get to the 3 and the 4 category, you become one of the leaders. So once you can show that you've really grasped the concept, I do use you as a peer leader so you can assist other students with learning. Over here is a little bit more of my structure. I do have a lot of forms in my class, but I do detail all of this information here. Why do I use these forms? What these forms are, what are they to represent? So the student responsibility form is more so for behavior in class. This is my first step before I have to contact the dean. This is my second step. We do a nonverbal in class. We do a parent contact. And after that parent contact, you get a responsibility form because it seems we're missing some information. This pink slip is missing. I send those home after 10 days of an assignment missing. That is the school policy, a 10-day grace period. And then I also have my makeup slip for students who are absent with excuses, so that way we won't lose points. And then I have a late slip for students who say, hey, I know you said we had to do it, but I completely forgot about it. You just take a late slip, complete it, and make sure you turn this in with your assignment. And that information is kind of briefly described here. Here is where we would normally put our class or school newsletter. We just got it. So right now I only have the digital version until they pass it out to the students. We have our lab safety compact and some forms that were given out in September to prepare us for a topic selection for our science fair. Here I have textbooks, some more supplies, some literature I was able to kind of grab and have for our students. At the back of the room is where a lot of the magic happens. So I have my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade informational boards. And on here, it goes over things that we need to hit for the week, our learning objectives with the module that we're on or the lesson. For 6th grade, because they are my homeroom and I treat them more as my students, my babies, we go over the birthday chart because it does give a lot of positive reinforcement. Students do feel seen, especially when the first thing they do coming in at 8 o'clock in the morning is they get a happy birthday rush. So 6th grade really loves that. So a lot more students have participated. We have our class calendar. December is here, so we don't have any, our due dates aren't on there yet. We just have the one assignment that was due. We have our leaderboard For 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, all classes have leaders. So my scribe will be the student that helps me maintain their grade level board, collecting papers, utensils for my students who seem to not have a writing utensil. Maybe they're missing a highlighter for note taking. Doesn't matter, but we have utensils, captain, devices. The classroom managers help keep the classroom neat and organized. I also have information about vocab that has been launched for our new lessons. We have some of our lab materials. We have had to hit a pause on a lab because the room is not usable at this moment. I also keep this up here for students so they could be aware if they miss school. This was the day that we took a quiz. So it shows that lesson quiz 5. This is when we took lesson 4, our unit pre-quiz. Here's where I post any assignments that have been given throughout the course of the module. So any students that were absent to say, hey, I was absent on the 18th. I didn't get the respiratory sheet. All right, let's go ahead and get that started. Sometimes it's a lot. This area is full. Sometimes it's not that much. It really depends on what the module is. We may have a lot more hands-on or a lot more in-class dialogue. Here is our version of our KWL chart, which is more so what we already know and what we want to learn about. So we kind of skip one. But this is information that students know something about. So a lot of students just were naming things at that point. But students wanted to know some of these other portions of the body as well, because this is only 6th grade. So some things students have not been exposed to. 7th and 8th grade, though, are in the middle of a transition. So we're leaving one unit, starting another. And that's where our dates are here. So we're leaving one unit, starting another. This pink sheet is our word part sheet. And on our word part sheet, we go over Latin and Greek prefixes. So that way the students can get some type of understanding of where the root words come from or the base of them. So even if you don't understand the word, we have things like this here, Carson. If you see that prefix of Carson, it has something to do with cancer. So each grade level, they have their own word sheets because it directly correlates with the context that they're learning. So for this module, it was, matters and property changes, sorry. So some of the things that they went over were really broad. So we have information here. I keep these posted, so once again, any students that were absent go, oh, hey, I forgot. And you can come back here and write down all the terms that you were missing for that week. And then, of course, this is the vocabulary launch chart. This is what a normal calendar would consist of. It would have different due dates, so students can always come back. Our scribe can always tell us what's occurring. 8th grade, like I said, we're in the middle of a transition. The only thing we have due is our science fair information on Wednesday. And then we had a couple of lessons so far, but we just started NWEA testing we are testing this week, so it's not as much work as it normally would be. We've had a lot more discussions. So with that, we also have our Do Now books. And for here, a lot of students tend to have the challenge of keeping up with materials. So we have our Do Now books here. They're separated by grade level, coming up with a better storage system for now, but I lack a lot of book and shelf space, so we're working with what we have. Here is where we keep our current module lab books. Each grade level has their own sub binder, so whenever a sub comes in or if administration comes before the sub, they just take the copies that correlate to the module that we're in. So 7th grade, it shows, Dynamic Earth, and we just started. It would normally, here it is. It would go in a plastic binder, so make copies. And this would be all of the sub work for that module. Here would be assignments that need to be passed back. It would normally have a basket here, and that shows everything we're doing in the modules. More work passed back, and that's an example. One student turned in an assignment late, and she attached her late slip. So this is kind of the mess behind the desk. but I also have my own calendar in which I keep up with a lot of school activities, school events, and then things that are occurring in the classroom that affect all students. Um, Here with my curriculum, I have a lot, sorry, a lot of information, but it's really for the learning and understanding of the student. So I make sure I have my vocabulary, I have my do now questions prepared, I have my own packet for the students, and things that I know they should highlight. So as we're reading and going along, I make sure to pay special attention to let them know, hey, this is really good information that we should have. Make sure we're writing down this information. This is helping them to keep notes, take notes. How can you study when all you're looking at is black and white? So I do have different materials, colored highlighters for the students to use. So that way they can pull out some of this information just as mine. And then I have my devices because school blocks a lot of resources that we try to use. So I do have my personal, some copies that are being made, that should be made.